Over the past several years, we've seen Hollywood take many once beloved franchises and completely destroy them by turning them into platforms for modern day messaging. So when I saw that Disney was releasing Predator Badlands, the latest installment in the long running Predator franchise, I certainly had my concerns. After all, the original and arguably best Predator movie from 1987 starring Arnold Schwarzenegger was very much a male driven movie, combining action, sci fi, and horror in a way that was both unique and revolutionary for its time. And while some of the other Predator installments we've seen over the years have been better than others, they've at least tried exploring different creative ideas while somewhat sticking to the franchise's general concept and lore. Well, maybe aside from that one that was trying to incorporate autism into the story. But when I heard that they were making another Predator movie, I at least had a little glimmer of hope because it was made by the same writing and directing team that brought us the Predator movie Prey from 2022. Now, to be fair, Prey wasn't exactly a spectacular movie, but it was at least competently made and mildly watchable, in spite of a third act that saw a predator defeated by a 20-pound little girl. But the more I got to seeing trailers and marketing for Predator Badlands, along with its unusually generous Rotten Tomatoes score, the more it seemed like this new movie was doubling down on the mistakes of Prey rather than correcting them. And once I saw the Hollywood Reporter gushing about what a girly adventure this movie would be and how cuddly the Predator was, I knew this movie was heading straight into an iceberg. Still, as a movie reviewer, I always give every movie a fair chance, so whatever reservations I had about Predator Badlands going into the theater, I put them aside so I could watch the movie with an open mind. Because in spite of everything, I really do want to enjoy movies. And now that I've seen Predator Badlands, I'm ready to discuss it with you, but before we dive in, please make sure to take a second to like and subscribe, as it would really help an independent movie reviewer like myself.
Do it.
Predator Badlands starts off on the main planet of the Yautja called Yautja Prime, and apparently there's a young Yautja there called Dick. And Dick is considered to be the disappointing runt of his family. And because Dick's father is unhappy that his son is such a loser, he expects Dick's older brother to kill him. But then the older brother revolts, and rather than killing Dick, he fights with the father, who defeats and kills him, and Dick then somehow gets transported off the planet in a spaceship looking to kill the most dangerous creature ever called Callisk on a planet called Jenna, so he can bring it back and show his father that he was able to kill the creature. Now, right out the gate, even in this early part of the movie, it does irreversible damage to the franchise because Yautja are not supposed to be sensitive and thoughtful, and trying to humanize them reminds me of when they tried to do something similar with orcs on Rings of Power. But if you humanize a scary and threatening creature, well, that creature is no longer scary and threatening, and after you do such a thing, there's really no turning back. Now, as much as this problem that I just described sounds bad, it's actually not the biggest problem I have with Predator Badlands, because from this moment, the movie's problems just keep getting worse and worse from here. Once Dick is on the planet of Jenna looking for his prey that's supposed to impress his father or something, he starts to run into challenges, and when he encounters a creature that gains the upper hand on him, he strikes a pact, and I hope you're sitting down for this, with a space Karen robot of sorts called Thia. And from that moment in the movie, Dick and Thia work together as a team, and they're practically inseparable. The reason they're cooperating is because Thia is a robot whose legs were torn off by the callous creature Dick is hunting, so he agrees to carry her around like Chewbacca carrying C-3PO to where her legs are located, and in return she'll lead him to the creature that he's looking for. And in case you were wondering, Thia, the space female robot, is of course the smart and resourceful one out of the two, and Dick is kind of like the Predator version of Forrest Gump, always a few steps behind her. And if you want to understand the feel of this movie, the best way I can describe it is that if you've ever been on a date with somebody that never stopped talking even for 1 second, then most of the movie will feel very familiar to you because Thia never shuts up, which could be very frustrating and annoying unless, of course, you're into that sort of thing. Anyhow, the movie then turns into what can best be described as a girly buddy comedy with forced humor that wipes out any suspense or stakes, leaving viewers with something that feels like a Kathleen Kennedy Disney Star Wars production written by Dave Filoni. And man, it just keeps getting more frustrating because then we learn that Thia actually has a robot sister, and she was separated from her when they were attacked on the planet by that creature. And coincidentally, there are only 2 robots on the planet that have feelings versus other male robots that don't have feelings for some reason. And why do these 2 lady robots have feelings? Well, they were programmed that way so that they can connect to the creatures on the planet. How would they connect to the creatures on the planet? Yeah, don't think about it. Another thing that happens in this movie is that a rather innocent Baby Yoda type creature called Bud, who's actually a female, joins them in walking around the forest for no apparent reason, but then Dick leaves Bud behind also for no apparent reason. But no matter how I describe it to you with words, watching the Predator walk around with some little creature and some lady robot that lectures him is such a strange thing and feels like you're no longer watching the Predator franchise at all. Anyhow, Dick and Thia finally arrive at their destination, and while Thia tries to attach her legs back to her body, she alerts her sister to come pick her up with a rescue team. And in a way, she's actually betraying Dick. Now, Dick is really upset by this betrayal, and he decides that he's going to battle the Callus and defeat it, but the Callus interrupts Thia as she's trying to attach her legs to her body. And just as all of this is happening, Thia's sister arrives, neutralizes Dick and the Callus, and takes them both prisoner. Thia, feeling that she owes Dick his freedom, tries to convince her sister to let Dick go, but then she discovers that her sister's actually rather evil, and that she has no intention of letting Dick go at all. So, in something a bit reminiscent of Data and Lore on Star Trek, only really stupid, and executed very poorly, Thia then realizes she's the good robot. She teams up with Dick to try to help him escape, and once he does, her sister gets annoyed and wants to shut her down and lock her up in a box. Now, if everything you've heard until now seems ridiculous, it's about to get worse, because Dick then deduces that Bud is actually the daughter of the Callus creature. How does he reach that conclusion? Who knows? So he recruits the Baby Yoda type of creature to go with him, and they decide to go rescue the mother creature that he was trying to kill earlier, and Thia from the evil robot sister. And then we have this kind of cheesy escape scene that feels like something you'd see in a Guardians of the Galaxy type of movie, completely out of place and stupid with dumb humor that feels like it's trying too hard. And during this scene, Thia suddenly controls her missing legs that are far away from her, so they go around and kick everybody's butts, and no matter what I tell you, I can't explain to you how stupid it looks. Dick then destroys the evil robot sister's army of male robots and releases the Callus, but just as it seems like things are going well, the sister kills the Callus creature, so then Thia kills her robot sister. And as bad as all of this likely sounds to you, it somehow gets even worse. Dick then goes back to his home planet with Thia and Bud, and he kills his father and his top men after telling him that he has a new clan of his own now with Thia and Bud, and just as they're all bonding with each other, a spaceship shows up and Dick is worried because he tells Thia that the ship belongs to his mother, and then the movie ends. Right after Dick seemingly neutralized the patriarchy and is very worried about the matriarchy for some reason. Now, there's so much wrong with this movie, and I feel like I probably may have only scratched the surface. I have no doubt that there will be YouTubers that make 4-hour videos going into every detail and every issue that this movie has, but today, I'm just going to try to highlight the biggest ones. Obviously, having a Predator bond with a chatty space Karen girl boss robot turns the Predator, both the character and the franchise, into a complete joke. When you think about those early Predator movies, especially 1 and maybe 2, the Predator was scary, it was mysterious and elusive. It would get rid of people in very graphic ways, if you know what I mean, and it was ruthless when it zeroed in on its targets. This Predator spends half of the movie talking about his feelings and trying to become a better Yautja or something. He becomes all sensitive and wants to help everybody, and the more time that he spends with a bunch of females, the softer and more cuddly that he becomes. But the real question is, where do you go with the franchise from here? If the Predator is now so sweet and lovable, what exactly are you going to do with the character moving forward? Is this just another Disney girl brand now? Because man, the Predator doesn't feel like a natural fit for this. I mean, how did we get from big macho muscle men trying to survive the Predator's wrath to a pushover sensitive Predator that likes to hang out with little girls? And to make matters worse, between the very stupid story, which barely makes any sense, and such little thought that was put into any kind of internal logic for this movie, it's really hard to take it seriously as a movie at all. For example, why are the male robots so dumb, and why is their power so inconsistent from robot to robot? And since we hear the name Wayland from the Alien franchise, does this mean that the two sister robots are kind of like Bishop? Because if they are, it's not really explained, and they seem different from him. And if Thia could control her legs from far away, why wouldn't she have done that sooner in the movie? Couldn't she have used those feet of hers to her advantage in so many other parts of the movie? This is the type of movie that keeps you occupied with a bunch of developments, but if you stop to think about anything, everything about this movie falls apart. And at the end of the day, I would say that Predator Badlands is an absolute disaster of a movie. Another case where Disney just took over a franchise and ran it into the ground after inexplicably turning it into a girl brand. Again! And as somebody that grew up watching and liking the original movie, there's something really depressing about all this. And while I suspect that at least some people will go see this movie this weekend just because of the Predator name, there's a part of me that hopes that this movie fails miserably at the box office so that perhaps we won't get any more of them. In any case, if I was asked to give Predator Badlands a score, I suppose I would give it a 5 points out of 100, which means that it's a very big fail. But on the bright side, if you'd like to cheer me up after I had to endure this awful movie and you feel like helping me out, please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel, as it would really mean a lot to me. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos. From